All right, looks like I'm live. Check it out. I'm on my backup. Colleen, I had a computer crash. My computer said I had to have updates. My USBs just quit working, all of them. Oh, yeah. I've even got a phone problem now because I can't charge my phone because my USBs don't work. So this is lovely. Anyway, fighting through some technology problems, but I am here. And we'll make the most of it. I've even got my phone set up where my regular camera is because I can't get my adapter piece or any of that. So, oh, goodness. Anyway, who all is in the house tonight? Let's see, we've got NSB, Heavens Mopars, Blue Collar Performance, Muscle and Cars. Can you guys hear an echo? Because, again, I'm having to use my phone, which is too close to my speakers or something. Heavens Mopar Scott. Andy Wood is here. Glad you're here. Blue Collar Performance. How about Blue Collar Performance? He's 5,000 subs now. I see Buck Does It is in here. By the way, for those of you who did not catch his community post, Buck will not be doing channel review tomorrow, but he will be live from the track if he's got enough signal. So, looking forward to that. Tony's Hot Rod Garage, Auto Salvage Outlaws, the One-Eyed Cat, Don English. Wendy English is here. Sam's MFA. I always think Master of Fine Arts when I see that. You always tell me what it stands for, and I don't ever remember. Dizzy Izzy. Frankenstein C20 says it's Friday. Indeed it is. Which this week for me is much better than Thursday. Trying to get caught up here. I was late starting. I had a technology problem. I see Dr. Art is here. Of course, Colleen, JB's Little Shop, Lunar Outlaw Garage, Nana Wilburn, my mom is here, Bad Tree Blake, a Saul dude. Oh man, this is a mess. You notice my screen's all wonky. It's because I'm having to work off my phone. Literally, I turned on one of my lights, and when I hit the switch for the other one, instead of it coming on, the other one went off. It's like it fried something. I almost like it blew a fuse with my USB ports. And this happens at 7:57. So I restarted it. Don't know what to do, but I'm running back up on my phone. Just Mopar Joe says, all right, Mopar people. Scarlet the 4-eyed Cuda, 6% recycled. Lunar Outlaw says, you want to go with me on Power Tour? I could pick you up maybe. I don't know. Send me the details on that, man. I don't know anything about Power Tour. No, we can talk about it. Old Man in the Shop Built Not Bought. Love that username, by the way. The Dougster. Joe says, here's a quick one for any racers out there. Speedway has a safety race jacket for sale, $43, shipped to your door. I just grabbed one. So if you want to wear the official jacket of Just Mopar Joe, there's a hot tip. All right. You guys now that you're caught up, I'll dip out for just 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, back. I'm not able to charge my phone or anything because, all my USB stopped working 3 minutes before live. So I'll get that here in just a second. There's the link from Just Mopar Joe. One-eyed cat said the pizza man rang his doorbell and it was the wrong address. That is cruel. Wilbur needed Diet Dr. Pepper. No, it's right here. Dougster Wolverine Garage. What's the deal with Wolverine, Dougster? Bear with me just a second. I'm going to plug my phone in real quick if I can. That should do it. All right. Cool. Give me just a second. I'll make sure my phone is charging so it doesn't just croak out randomly. Be right. Okay. I think we're going to be good. So, can you guys hear an echo? Greg McDonald's here, Chris Greenaway. All right, got the gang all here. So I've got some guests that may swing by tonight, and if they ring the doorbell, I'll let them in. But since we're practically 20 minutes late getting started, that works out just fine. Oh, my. The things you don't expect to happen. That's a new one on me. I've never turned on a light and had a USB port. It made a sound like a fuse blew. As soon as I turned on my second light, just stopped working. It's literally like a fuse blew. Well, I can fix that. I think that'll fix the echo for right now. Yeah, that's coming through my speakers probably. You guys can still hear me good, but we're not hearing the echo, right? Yeah, staticky mic feedback. Well, I can unplug, but I will have to plug back in time to get my for my guests because I run external speakers. Wilburn's office looks like Tommy Chong paid me, but yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? This is weird for me. I'm not used to having just weird random lighting, but that's most live streams. But no, I'm telling you, it's grainy looking and weird, and I don't have any supplemental lighting. It's just strange. We're here for John. Oh my gosh, why would you be here for me on a Friday night? I'm the one that doesn't have a life. No, you should be here for my guests. I got some cool guests coming in. I'm here for you guys. That's why I'm here. This is a lot of fun. Blue Collar Performance, by the way, I was talking with him earlier today. He's got some fun stuff in the pipe. There's some neat stuff coming up on that channel you're not going to want to miss. Yeah. Unfinished Project says, I can't hear you, but Dart Sport. Looks like the lens needs to be cleaned. Oh, actually, there is something to that. I was digging to put in fence posts all day. There actually could be some dust on my camera lens. So anyway, I wiped it off, so it's not getting any better. So there we go. We tried it. Yeah, I can't do my Zoom technique because my phone is up there. No, I dug a hole. I had a fence post I tried to put in, and they go 2 feet in the ground. They're 6-foot posts for a 48-inch fence. They got to go 2 feet in the ground. I got down to about 8 inches short, and the fence post just stopped. And fun fact, if you take a fence post driver and you keep going after you hit a giant rock, it will flare the end. It will look just like a double flare for a car. Crazy. Oh my gosh, hurt my shoulders. And then I just kept going. I kept convincing myself that I could get past whatever, and I couldn't. When I pulled that fence post out, it was at a 45-degree angle from the rock. And it was starting to go crooked, which really annoys me. I like my fences to be really, really nice and straight. So I dug it out 2 feet down, 18 inches around, and I'm going to put about 200 pounds of concrete in there with a post tomorrow. 3 feet deep, Chris Greenaway. I go 2 on a 48-inch fence, and it works just fine. What is this question Chris Greenaway has on temperature gauge? Works 95% of the time, but when you hit a bump, it reads no oil pressure, high temp, but check it with a temp gun and it's fine. So it's a temperature gauge. Works 95% of the time. But when you hit a bump, it reads no oil pressure? What does that mean? Temperature high, but check it with a temp gun and it's fine? I'm not even sure. I don't know what oil pressure has to do with your temperature gauge, but when I had an oil pressure gauge in the van that was intermittent like that, in fact, I was coming back from Carlisle last year. I'm rolling down the highway, and my oil pressure gauge went to 0. And I pulled over, cut it off, restarted it. It sounded fine. It was full of oil. I said, you know what? I can't have no oil pressure. There's no way. So I just went ahead and drove it home 150 more miles with the gauge at 0. Because it sounded fine. It was full of oil. It wasn't getting hot. Sure enough, when I got home, I pulled the doghouse off the back of it, and that little forked connector that goes on top of the sender was loose. So I tuned it up a little bit with a pair of needle nose pliers, put it back on there. Works all the time. So a lot of times connections to gauges will cause some erratic thing like what you're describing. Especially electrical gauges instead of mechanical. Ooh, that's weird. That's so weird because I'm used to having my my clamp mount up there for my camera so that I can't cause my picture to shake. NSB says, ready to enjoy this 3-day weekend? Well, I'm going to be putting in a fence. And I'll tell you what, depending on how far I get, if there's anything cool to show you, I'll take some pictures. I may put up some pictures on a community page. Digging holes is voluntary punishment. Yes, it's punishing. So when I fenced the west side when I fenced the east side of the property, I didn't hit a single rock. It was great. It was great. I had to cut a few tree roots, but by and large, I just put the posts in, drove them in straight. It was easy. I come over here to the west side of the property, the first holes, and it's just full of gravel. I found chunks of brick in there. And what I think I'm doing is I'm probably 6 or 8 feet away from the neighbor's driveway, but it's almost like they just filled on top of all of this gravel and broken brick and rock and stuff, and it's miserable. And I'm hoping when I get up the hill a couple posts, it won't be like that anymore, because if it's going to be all of them, I'm going to have to get an auger. I don't have enough shoulders to do 13 posts like this, because I like to hear from people who tell me I'm doing it wrong, and that's what YouTube's all about, getting people to tell you you're doing it wrong. I prefer to put in a terminal post every 10 feet and not use any line posts, because I like for everybody to tell me how stupid that is. But when you do it that way, you can change your grade every 10 feet. And if something hits it, you can repair just that section. And if you want to put a gate in later, you can put a gate in anywhere you want. There's some advantages to that. And when you can change your grade a little tiny bit every 10 feet, it allows you to bury the mesh so that it's perfect. Dogs can't dig out from under it. It looks better. I prefer to do it that way. It is more work, though. It doesn't cost much more, but it's a lot more work. But it's going to take 13 terminal posts coming all the way down. And then the neighbor says, I don't know about a fence, man. I backed that camper in, and I'm afraid of him. I'm like, dude, the fence makes it easier, because now you got something to watch in the side mirror while you're backing up. Firebird has water temperature and oil pressure in the same gauge. Yeah, if both of them are acting screwy when you hit a bump, it's probably your connection to it. Just check your connection. Make sure that little connector is tight on it. Make sure your grounds are clean. I would just go through and check all your connections to it. It's not going to be a fuse. Could be the gauge. It's factory gauge. But check your connections. Twisted Mopar, 117 days, few hours. That's right. I put the day that's burning up here instead of how many whole days are left. Reason being, because on day one, I would have 0 up there all day. That doesn't really make any sense. That's a countdown is over when we're counting whole numbers. That's the reason I do that. Dexter bought a 73 Roadrunner with a 360 that had no oil pressure, just needed a new cinder. Yeah, right. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. Been battling charging issues, may or may not have been from bad ground. Yeah, that happens. One thing, too, on charging, make sure that your wire from your voltage regulator that goes back to the battery is good. Because on that van I had a problem with that. Somebody had replaced a section of fusible link on the van. And what they did is they just took one of those bullet connectors and just did the crimp thing. And it was just arcing in there and getting hot. It didn't have much contact area. And what wound up happening was it wasn't charging the battery all the time. And they had put an alternator on it and all kinds of stuff. And all it ever was that connector. So I cut it out, soldered it in, and now it charges like a champ. Twisted Mopar says you only need a couple pounds of oil pressure anyway. Well, for being scientific, you only need enough pressure to resist whatever pressures your crank and rods and whatever are exerting on those droplets of oil. I mean, how much is that? Well, I don't know. I've never actually measured it. You don't need quite as much oil pressure as some people think you do. More is definitely not better. That's not a rule anyway. We put the auger on the old Super M and put posts in and jip it. Yeah, I know, but if I do that, I got to set all of them like that in concrete. I don't want to do it that way. I'm going to try to drive the other ones, but what I saw in this hole I dug is like, if they're all going to be full of that gritty gravel and stuff, it's going to be a mess. 120 inches on center. You know it, Blake. When I do it, it's like, yes. Literally to the inch. It's because it's not hard to do. So I string a piece of 100-foot paracord down the line, all right, to my survey markers. And then I go through with a Sharpie and I mark where each one of them goes. It's simple. If I quit for the day, come back, I can pick up the line because I wouldn't want the neighbor to hit it with a mower. Next day, I could just string the line back. And as long as I come back to my reference marks, they're all lined up again. Yeah, NSB's got the concrete sandy stuff. Some places where the sand is just sand, it's easy. Wash them in with water. Auto Salvage Outlaw says 118 days is not very long. No, it is not. Greg McDonald says, who needs a fence post or an auger? Just train a ground to dig. If my dog would dig in the right spot, I'm sure he would try to help me. Turbo Tom just finished hubcaps. Radiator will be in the morning for the parade. Cool. Blue Collar Performance. I don't worry about gauges. If it gets very bad, it'll let me know. This is true. I will say one thing on an oil pressure gauge. Usually, it's not going to do much to help you. If you're losing oil pressure, you're going to have to go in there anyway. Otherwise, it's just something to watch and worry about. I mean, it's what's it really doing for you most of the time, if any of the time. Twisted Mopar says, I know about Busy, been cleaning a garage a friend of mine's had. It's amazing what he's accumulated in 35 years. Yeah, so I cleaned out one corner of the garage last week. It was unbelievable. What it is, I got my press built, and I was cleaning out, and it's like, oh, man, one corner was horrific. Dougster says Scotch lock is the wiring connector of choice. I don't know. I solder all my stuff. Chris Greenaway says he goes 3 feet down, so it's 1 feet of concrete at the base to keep it square. I put 18 inches of concrete around the base. See, I'm digging down 2 feet. Then I put 18 inches of concrete in. Then I put the sod back, 6 inches of the sod and grass back up on top. That's how I do it. Pressure is good, volume is better. Well, you need to have enough pressure and enough volume, whatever that is. 383 hole auger, I wish. That'd be freaking cool. Now, knowing me, though, I would do a 318. I would have an auger that runs off a 318 and a 904. Yeah, Super M auger kicked out and sprained an ankle. I actually tried drilling down just to see if I could loosen up any of that rock. It sort of worked. It's miserable, though. Dudes with Wrenches is here. What's going on, my man? Glad you could make it. We're having fun. We got some guests in the wings. They may drop in here in a little bit. Scotch locks are the devil. 30 years made me hate these. I don't even know what they're called, but I already know I don't like them because I don't like any kind of crimp, slide, grabby electrical connectors at all. I like to put just a plain metal sleeve over it and solder it. Everything else to me is a problem of when. I see Joe hanging out. Joe, I've only got half your quote in here, so. Chris Greenaway says, funny, DD dropped the EF5 for a carb. Why is that funny? I'd do the same thing. Joe says, Blue Collar Vega Master. I thought he was going to say Blue Collar Vega's Lives Matter. It's a Pinto, but I'll tell you what, that same kind of patinaed out Turbo LS in a Vega wagon would look cool too. If you use Scotch locks, you might not see it again because it perished in a fire. Yeah, maybe. I just I don't like any kind of connectors like that. They're all just corrosion time bombs to me. I hate it. Then they try to bury them, do their best to hide them. So that was fun to find on the van. Oh, and when it got hot, it melted a couple of the vacuum lines that went to some junk it didn't need with the Vacuum Advance. Apparently, in '85, the last version of the Carter BBD carburetor that the Dodge used from '85 to '87 before they went to EFI. And it had all these vacuum. It's not a lean burn. It still has a Vacuum Advance. But it has all these weird vacuum switches and an EGR timer and all the stuff's interconnected. I didn't even bother to try to understand that stuff. I just got rid of it. One simple line, and it works much better. The van's really happy that way. Starts and runs great. But it had melted 3 of those lines, and it was causing vacuum leaks. Dougster Wolverine Garage says the only Vega on my radar is the Cosworth. There was a 1,400 original mile Cosworth Vega at the No Name Nationals, and it was for sale. .38 says I need to dig out pictures of the 455 Buick Camback I had back in the day. Yeah, man, put them on your community page. I'd like to see that. Joe is saying Vega, Pinto, Gremlin, or Pacer. My bad. I think, while I like them all, give you one guess where I got that. Blue Collar had a big tire Vega years ago. Yeah. Oh, man. There was I remember when I was a kid seeing a really hot Vega street car. It was wasn't a wagon, I don't believe. Could have been, but it had a nice set of steamrollers on the back. 350 Chevy of all things. Ah, it was really cool. Loved it. Loved the sound. Loved the look. A Vega would be probably the number one Chevy I would have if I could have any Chevy. It would probably be a Vega wagon. Early one. Tony's Hot Rod Garage just slid in here. Glad you're here, man. Dougster says, my friend has a Levi Gremlin, blue. His mom bought new, gave it to him. Has an 80 Chevette four-door yellow. I like that. The 80 four-door Chevette. Reminds me of that movie House Party. I had the Chevette in that movie. You have one of those, John, the button. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Blake is riding shotgun with Ricky in his Probe ST Turbo. Probe. When I hear Ford, I think when I hear Probe, I think Ford Probe. Is that what it is? I know he's got that little Ford. Heavens Mopar has a video about the Vega Cosworth on my channel. Yeah. With contact info if interested. Well, there you go. Greenaway's talking about a Monte Carlo. Stuff with Cletus is here. Glad you're here, Cletus. Used to be a 400 Chevy swapped Gremlin in my neighborhood when I was a kid. That is cool. Love it. All about it. Ron English is here. Cool. Got quite a crowd. The 400 Chevy's always kind of intrigued me, but I sure haven't seen many of them. I don't Fiesta the same thing. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I know it's that little Ford that Red Light Ricky races. Probe shared the same problematic transmission with the Taurus. Yeah. Junk on a stick. You better believe it. I remember the first place I saw the Ford Probe. I still remember this. I don't remember what year those things came out, but this is whenever that was. Of all places. I was in Chick-fil-A in Bluefield, and I remember there was an advertisement that they had in that restaurant that was up on top of the counter. And it was dark with the shine of the silhouette of the car. Because that thing looked like a spaceship in the day. Nothing looked like that Probe. It was very futuristic looking. And I just thought, wow, that looks really different. Chris Greenaway's talking about the design of the Monte Carlo. I got to tell you, though, one Monte Carlo I've always kind of been interested in is I have read quite a bit about the FBI shootout in 1986, April 11th, 1986, with Platt and Maddox. And they drove a black 79 Monte Carlo. And this is real life, but it was like something out of a movie. And they've made movies about it. But it was a perfect bad guy getaway car. Black 79 Monte Carlo. Dougster Wolverine Garage's Probe was a smooth-looking car. Yes, the Probe to me is like the Dodge Avenger. They had great lines, but all the mechanicals are just disposable nonsense. Blue Collar Performance says he thinks that the Probe door handles will be cool on difficult cars. Okay. I can't place off the top of my head what the door handles were like on a Probe, but I remember when they came out that Bob Glidden went to a Probe. I remember that very well. One-Eyed Cat says people are forgetting to lick the like button. Go do it, people. Okay. RC Industries here. How's it going, Rick? Glad you could make it. How you like my wonky setup here? It's just strange, isn't it? Cletus is going to be at the No Name Nationals the whole weekend and trailering the Volvo, so he'll be there no matter what. Just for show, not race. Well, hey, man, you're still welcome to take it down the track as long as it passes tech for whatever it is. Chris Greenaway, John's theory of the Black Ghost. I have no theory on it. I have no theory on it. I'm not even that car, but most cars that have all this street racing history, most of that is crap. Most of that is just lies and garbage people made up to tell at parts store counters. Most cars, that's the real truth. And I just don't know if that one's any exception. I don't care really. It's million. If somebody has $1 million to spend on a Challenger to say they have one, but who cares? More power to them. Blue Collar Performance says his junk will be there after I break it in the burnout pit. Hey. So what that means is if you want to see Blue Collar Performance in action, you need to be there Friday. If you want to meet Blue Collar Performance, Nate, hopefully he'll be there both days. And I say both. Track day's Friday, Saturday. Thursday, we all marshal. We're all going to cruise to Lambert's and all that good stuff and get teched in. There'll be lots going on Thursday. Thursday is actually a wonderful time at a slower pace to meet and greet. So if you're a viewer and you're watching this and you're thinking about days to come to the No Name Nationals, understand Thursday is a good day to do that. All of them are good days to do that, but no spot quiz today, Dean. Dougster says Black Ghost equals old fisherman stories. The fish grown an inch each. Yeah, who knows? Blue Collar will be there all weekend. All right. Sykeston is a week for me. It's a long time. But I am rolling out a Sunday relatively early this year. Yep. Ron will be there. Well, cool, man. Max Wedge, Dick Dastardly. How's it going, buddy? I have a set of rocker arms over there from Mac Wedge, Dick Dastardly. I have about a quarter of a 340 in this room. Rabbit Transit Jay's here. Glad you could make it, man. 38 POS Racing says, got to see how early I can get there Thursday. 12-hour drive first. Yeah, well, it's going to be a long drive. We do marshal over at the track, and then we head over to Lambert's at 6 p.m. Central Time. So it's a tall order, but you're certainly welcome to join us if you can make it. We'd love to see you. We'll see you anyway, but Cultured Redneck says, I plan on at least coming one of the days. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you. I will say, I think if you made a second run at the No Name 500, you would make it. I really believe you would. You got a lot of cool stuff going on. People have heard of you. You would make it. We've got 22 running right now. I believe 10 have made it. That's 32 total this year. Rabbit Transit Garage says, hey, 39 POS. That's 38 POS Racing's alternate channel. Stuff with Cletus says, my son is halfway there. He is putting out content every day. Nadertron's World is at about 220-ish, somewhere right in there. So check out Nadertron's World. As always, see if he earns your sub. If he does, subscribe. He's hammering on it. He wants to make it on his own channel, and that's great. So Nadertron's World, that's Stuff with Cletus' son. You can go to my homepage, youtube.com/John Wilburn. My homepage has all of the No Name 500 guys listed, and you'll see his channel there. I know you did, Jay, but it's fun to have people trying to look for that channel, so just let them do it. It's a fun little hazing, right? You know what? Something just occurred. Maybe. Yeah, I was thinking I might have guests I can't see come in from my phone, so I gotta watch it a little differently today. Dougster said Lake Superior said never gives up her dead. Probably not. Chris Greenaway says, I would really love to petition my government to allow one last dive for the logbook. What is that? Something people in Canada do? 38 POS says, I got the feeling I'll make the 500. Oh, yeah. 38 he's 38. You're running second, or third. You're running third right now. You're almost 90% of the way there. I see Lars is in the chat. Patrick's here. Blue collar is sub to Nadertrons. The more Nates, the better. Okay. Yeah, Dougster's talking about the front section of Fitzgerald, bolts at the bottom of Lake Superior. I have no idea what any of that is. 38 POS will make it with his eyes closed. Yeah, maybe. But he's been working. He's going to get it. Every one of those channels can make it. I don't know that every one of them will, but every one of them can. And I'll just say this now, not that anybody wants to go that route or anything like that. Remember, your participant registration includes your weekend pass. One weekend pass is with every car for the driver. So if you have one car registered No Name 500 and you don't make your 500 subs, you can still bring your car to the cruise. You can still show it at Lambert's. You can still have your weekend pass to get in. To me, I wouldn't change any of my plans to be there. It's just that you need your 500 to race through the burnout competition. That's the way it works. Tony Napoli says hello from Ohio. Sam Mountain Ballistics is in fourth. He'll make it. Yeah, Hunter's going to make it. Although, even though I want to see them both make it, wouldn't it be funny if Dakota passed him? Dakota is about 279. He's coming. They're both going to make it, but it'd be neat if Dakota were to pass him. But either way, I'd just like to see those brothers battle it out. 38 says third and moving on up. My neighbor's going to be Mr. Jefferson and Wheezy. Right. Deluxe apartment in the sky. Turbo Tom says, I had shorts dropping every day at 9:45. Good for you. Muscle and Cars says, I'm at the bottom, be racing and burning. You're not last place. You signed up in last place, but you've already surged across several. You're doing great. Dakota, you'll make it. You'll make it. Charge, do it. There we go. Joe put up the link to Dakota's channel. Check him out. Dakota, if you would take all of that junk that you found at that flea market or wherever, and you did a little short on every one of those little parts, you'd have your 500 just from that. It will be that easy. You can do all of that this weekend. One short on every one of those things. Has scheduled to drop one each day, and you're done. You got it all. Battery Production says, anybody know what SEO is? I had a scammer email me, said it had a bad SEO rating. No, that's just crap, Blake. What it is search engine optimization. Anybody who wants to sell you search engine placement is just, they're full of crap. Don't worry about that. Not in the least. I see Dust Devil Brian's in here. Glad you can make it, man. So people really want to look at random parts? Yes, Dakota, people do. Most of our audience are things people. They love to just look. I mean, you can make a short of some kind of radio knob or something, and there's some guy that will just drool and watch it 16 times. I'm telling you, you will get subs from doing that. No, it seems silly, but you watch your subs go up, and you're like, wow, look at that. Smoke Wrench says 38 passed me. Yeah, he did, but you're both going to finish on the lead lap trading paint. You're both right there. Blue Collar Performance says teamwork makes the dream work. I'm telling you, we can all work together, and every one of us can get ahead together. No doubt about it. Mad Tree says I couldn't pronounce names, so delete. I don't know what that means. Yeah, right. Oh man, the bad problem. I love to mess with scammers when they call me and when they email me, but sometimes they smell a rat. Sometimes they don't. I can get them really good by email if they're really slow and they're not real bright. But the ones on the phone, I can never keep them going. Never. I just can't. I don't have what you need to string those people along. They always know I'm on to them. Joe put up the link for Smoke Wrench Garage. Smoke Wrench Sean, check him out. He's doing good stuff over there. And he drives a Dart Sport, so that's pretty cool too. Most of them are pretty stupid. Yeah, most of them, they're not that bright. Their bosses are. They're just corrupt. But, yeah. Sam Mountain Ballistics Hunter is in here. We were just talking about you, man. I have no idea what Greenaway's talking about. Must be a Canada thing. Dakota tells me thinks they're a low life. I can mess with them pretty good. I think my goal anytime I have some telemarketer or some foreign telemarketer call me trying to steal from me is if I can get them to curse me and hang up. Some of the Hong Kong emails get you a free nice LED light or turbo. Blake says, yeah, some of them could. One-eyed cat likes to drag the extended warranty out. Yeah, I'm telling you. Okay, so Ron English, I've done the same thing. If I say the year of any vehicle I have, click, it is instant. It is instant. So to get them going more, I can't remember what my go-to was recently. I want to say it was like a 2013 Toyota Camry. I had to make up something else to keep it going. I had one time. My favorite extended car warranty phone call I ever had. I had this guy going. I used whatever I used, a Camry or a Jeep Grand Cherokee or whatever it was, and I told him I had a medical device, that would help me wipe that was mounted under the seat, and it was a dealer installed accessory, and asked him if my warranty would cover that, and he literally went and asked somebody else. He didn't go anywhere after that. The person, his supervisor, must have just thought, yeah, hang up on that guy. Greenaway says, I'm from the South. That's it. I'm from America. And the southern part of it. The best part of it. 74 Trans Am or 81 Camaro doesn't get it. Yeah, I'm telling you. Ask a question in your title and put some oddball part, and you will have old car show guys rush in there to educate you. But they will create engagement, especially if they think you're doing something wrong. Take a rare part and put in your title. How much do I need to grind off of this to get it to fit? And put that question in the title and put a picture of the rare part. The white New Balance wearing car show crowd will rush in there over a bed of thumbtacks and through thorns to try to stop you from doing whatever it is you're doing. Fitzgerald iron is pretty much in every classic car. Okay, I don't really even track what y'all are talking about. Fun fact: you have stuff from literally outer space in every smoke detector. You know those things that when the batteries start chirping, we take them off the wall and throw them away. Those things have iridium in them, and the iridium came from outer space. It's found in the ground. Blue Collar Performance says there's no win for haters on YouTube. If they comment, they're helping you. Yeah, right. See how mad you can get them. I'm all for that. Joe says if you speed up northern reaction times, you'll have southern seconds. Yeah. I was actually watching a guy on YouTube who has a channel about speech, and he's a speech coach for movie actors to try to teach them how to speak for their parts. You have a Yankee movie actor, and you need to teach him to try to imitate a Southern accent, which is always comical because they can't do it. But it's interesting because he was saying that a lot of the wealthy class in Britain was much closer to the Southern accent, from the 1800s. I thought that was interesting. He gave us lots of examples. He's an interesting guy, but he does coaching for actors. Dougster says, I have no room for negativity in my life. Well, I don't either, but sometimes the world tries to get as much overflow parking on my bike as it can. Dakota said they say the whole British accent was all made up to make them sound more fancy. I don't know. The banjo is a purely American instrument. Okay. There's the banjo playing kid who wasn't really playing it in Deliverance, and my friend Rob Jones, who played banjo in an ice cream parlor. That's all I know about him. Someone's ringing the doorbell. It is. John Coe.
Hey, what's up, John boy?
What do you know? We got a pretty good crowd in here right now.
I see that.
Yeah. NSB says, I get the I love your accent all the time. And I'm like, what accent? Right. Bad tree. So how's it going? We're freestyling on a Friday. It's 9:04 p.m. So I like that.
Everything's going good, John. It's a 3-day weekend. Tomorrow I turn 58 years old.
Actually, that's day 1400 on the 10,000 day calendar.
Okay.
I was actually gonna make a community post talking about how decrepit a transmission is if it's got 1400 on the pan rail, and just say that anything built on that day has got to be too old to function. But
That's funny.
Pull over. We want to bless your car. So for those who have not heard it, the horn from Cannonball Run that Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. have in the Ferrari, Cope has in his Power Wagon.
Only because the old man had that horn in his truck. Yep. I didn't put it in there because of Cannonball Run. I put it in there because the old man had it.
Chris Greenaway, Louisiana is not a Southern accent. It's Louisiana. It's Cajun. It's different. Completely different. Christ for 10,000 day calendar. That's correct. So Cope's birthday is 1400. Turbo Tom says he'll be 58 on Halloween. Yeehaw. I got to survive a little longer to make it to 58. Now, Big Mike is going to smoke the whole hog for our party tomorrow in honor of your birthday.
Oh, thanks, Mike. You're all right.
Mike, you should freeze some of that and send it to him. They don't have barbecue where he is. So, what's new going on in the world of John Cope and/or Cope Racing Transmissions?
Oh, same old, same old. Today, me and Lucas spent the whole day, just about the whole day, working on the Power Wagon, and I drove it this week home about 3 or 4 times, and after working on this truck for 5 years, I tell you what, it's made me very happy. The sense of accomplishment that you get from putting a car together. And this is the first time I ever did one that was somewhat of a memento to the old man. But at the same time, I'm building my teenage car I drove in high school. So it's a mixed ball of emotions and joy and gearheading and slamming gears and 440. It has been absolutely great. I must have thanked Lucas today 10 times for all his help. He's really been a big help.
Lucas works there at Cope Racing Transmissions. He's a good fella, young fella. He's smart. Does a lot of
Yeah, he's 19 years old, and he's assembling reverse manual bodies and trans and even say the word trans brake until I was 5. And he built them. He shows a love and a passion for it, just as I do. It's gonna be great at that once. So it's been really good. The shop's busy. Everything's pretty damn good, I gotta say.
It looks great. I really dig the grill. The detailing guy, Klotz, he's the one that did that grill, isn't he? And polished that grill up that's in it.
He spent 45 hours on 45 hours on that grill.
Wow.
Yeah. We still got to put the carpeting in it, and I need a set of seats and little things like I want to rerun all brand new brake lines, and over the winter we're going to put a posi unit in it so it's not a one-wheel peel. But man, it runs great. That Holley fuel injection, not one hiccup. It works so good. I mean, we had a couple of things we had to do and redo, and like last night I went to go pick up my daughter. She was at one of her girlfriend's house, and I noticed when I pulled up that the temperature was getting a little high because it always runs about 185 to 190, and it hit 204. I'm like, well, that's odd because it was like 40 degrees out last night. And so I listened, and I didn't hear the electric fans on. So I went underneath the hood and I looked and had a blown fuse. So I stole the fuse out of the air horn and put it in there just to get them. And then this truck was really weird. It always had that. You ever hear of the G-body shuffle?
Oh, yeah.
It's what GM cars have when they shift in second gear. It goes a little sideways. This truck does exactly the same thing. Well, what happened was when it shifted, it seems like it's pushing the motor up a little bit, and the water pump was touching the electric fan, and it ground it out.
Oh.
So I didn't have any fans. So that's just one thing we got to tweak and get going.
Could be worse. You could have a mechanical fan that was moving and chewed up your radiator. I've had that before.
Yeah. So, but other than that, the truck drives great. It's a little bouncy in the front end with that, it's leaf springs front and rear. And I said they shouldn't have called it a power wagon. They should have called it a covered wagon. Because after you drive a 2020 Ram, even when my 05 Ram rides better than that.
Oh yeah.
It's just a little bouncy. So I'm gonna new shocks and whatnot and try to take care of that. But I thought it being a big block truck with all that weight in the front end, it would kind of not have that concern or that issue.
The 05 Ram dually that we drifted around Michigan Avenue on.
Wasn't that cool? That was fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
but
I,
yeah, I think the truck is great, and it's really been making me happy. So
I love it.
it's
Cool.
good. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
can't
I
show
think
pictures. I got my phone up here today. So you weren't in here when I said this. Right at time to start, my computer decided it needed an update, and my USBs are now not working. I can't turn on my lights, and I can't turn on my auxiliary camera because it uses USB. So anyway, I got my phone up there.
oh really?
Yeah, it's okay.
Hmm.
It's just I love stuff like that.
I was in the chat waiting for you though since 70 or 790 or what is it 789 or I don't know 10 minutes too. Whenever you posted the thumbnail, I jumped in.
Okay, I didn't see you in the chat.
Yeah, I was in there, Pat,
Weird.
and I seen Andy log in as editor.
Yeah, I saw Andy. I haven't seen Andy ringing the doorbell or anything, but I haven't seen.
Oh no,
No, no. But I'm trying to watch because I see. I'm gonna try to do is that messing up my screen? Okay. Yeah, I gotta watch it because they come in. I'm logged in on two at the same time. It's kind of wild. Although it's working okay. It looks. Somebody told me that it looks like Tommy Chong bar in my office. It's hazy in here, but it's because I don't have all my
it
compliments.
is. Yeah, yeah, it does. It looks like you're burning one.
If there's a fire in here, fire extinguisher.
Okay.
Mike Evans says the Stater Sprag is still on back order. I'm assuming you mean for my converter. Dakota had a battery ground out against the radiator the other day. It's secured with two bungee cords. Dude, get a real battery hold down. Do what you need to do to protect that from grounding and crank it down because bungee cords will not pass tech at the same nationals. We got the torque converter whisperer in the chat. Battery says Dave's not here. Not sure.
They're bothering me. That's what I mean.
GM letters go backward through the alphabet. Yeah, I don't know. GM does everything. You know what? I'm going to make a video. Speaking of that, you'll see it when it comes up. But when I was on my horrible trip yesterday, helping somebody pick up a case, I had a good video idea. So I need to get it shot. I got to figure out how to do that.
Thank you.
Max Wedge, Dick Dastardly, your battery fell into your fan. Ouch. I got Diet Dr. Pepper. What you drinking, Mr. Cope, sir?
This is carbonated water that tastes like 7-Up because I had to give pop. Even the diet pop, I had to give up. Trying to get healthy, That aspartame used to give me chest pains so bad I thought I was having a heart attack.
Huh. Well, I can tell you
like
this.
When me and my
If that can kill somebody, then they'll be able to find plenty of it in me. But you say that's better, huh? You got rid of those chest pains.
I did. It's just carbonated water, and it's got a little citrus twist in it. There's no sugar, there's no carbs, no nothing in it, but it kind of tastes like a pop. Yeah, but like when me and Elaine go out for dinner, and I'll have like one soda or 1.5. I can feel it an hour later. It's so weird. And the only thing I can think of it's the aspartame that's in there. I don't know what. Who knows what else they put in those? So I quit drinking that. Oh, well over a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. I stopped drinking pop. I mean, I'll have one when we go out for dinner. Like when me and you went out to Chicago, I'll have a pop.
Yeah.
You know, I gave up everything else in my life. I got to have at least one thing. You know.
We got Mike Ivan has a question and I have a question. We'll get Ivan's first. He says, "Can you explain what K factor means?"
I don't know what he's talking about. Give me
I don't either.
and what? Huh?
I don't either. Mike Ivan, what is K factor?
I have no idea.
Sounds strange.
What was your question, John?
My question is something that Mike Ivan and I were talking about last week. And that is, if you run a valve body that has a trans brake, does it somehow keep more pressure on the pump and wear the pump out faster?
The trans brake has nothing to do with the pressure.
But you are increasing the pressure, generally speaking, when you run a valve body that has one.
Yeah, but I would do the same thing. Let's say I set the pressures according to like horsepower and weight of the vehicle. So like someone like Larry Boyd, he's at 205. You know, that's probably the highest you can go. And yeah, that sometimes high pressure it could be hard on the pump body and the gears.
You had a lot
But
of pressure.
I got those Can you repeat that, John? I didn't hear that.
You had a lot of pressure on the Power Wagon's valve body and dialed it back a little bit.
I did. It was overpowering the Tesla valve. It's like it had a sewer cover for a hole to feed the low reverse servo. I mean, it was bang. And me and Lucas are looking at each other like, where is this coming from? Now the Power Wagon doesn't have a brake; it's a reverse manual, but it was probably about 195. So we backed it down to 160, and it still shifts great. I mean,
Nice.
It shifts better than Haney does.
T's
But it's
good
got
time.
an 11-inch converter.
I see T's in the house. How's it going? We were trying to figure out too, Mike Ivan and I, what converter would be right for my Dart with an A500. So it's a lockup.
It depends on the cam and the gear. So give me a rough cam and gear.
It'll be a 410 gear. If I'm going to say on a cam, I'm going to guess something in the 280-ish duration with appropriate for the heads. I will run factory X heads.
Yeah.
Because I run factory 340X.
As of now, you only have two options. You have an 11-inch, which the most you ever get out of it is 3,000. And then there are 9 inches or 9.5 inches that can go up to 5,000 install, depending on your camshaft. I would say something in your range, 45 to 48. It depends on how high you're going to buzz up the small block. Some guys like to buzz them hard. Some guys don't. And a lot of that does depend on your head, what kind of cylinder head you have.
I'll be running an X head, so not much. This one will be a driver. But I'll tell you what, I think it'll be interesting because Mike and I will figure it out.
Yeah.
Big Mike's Hoopty Barn, he's got a bunch of company coming over, and Bad Tree Blake's got to get kiddos in bed. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. Thanks, man. Tall Garage Ken's in here. Dougster Wolverine Garage is saying 413 with a Hughes Whiplash cam and a 355 gear. What converter? What's it in? What do you want to do with it? Max Wedge Dick Dastardly says, I think I'm T's good time 500th. Cool. That means that T's Good Time Garage is now eligible to participate in the No Name Nationals. Dougster says a 92 D150. So it's heavy. I don't know. What converter would you say for that?
What was the cam lift again?
The 413 big block, 355 gears, and a 92 D150. Cope wants to know what your cam is, Dougster.
I would probably say like an 11-inch 3000.
Dakota says, would a 3,000 to 35... Dakota's question there, would a 3,000 to 3,500 converter be too much to drive on the street as a daily? For my Camaro, I've got that or a stock converter. Dude, I would do that 3,000, 35 all the time.
Yeah.
No problem.
None. But see, when the great thing about going to a 500 or a 46, you can go crazy on the stall, and the minute you turn the lockup on, it's zero stall. It is. When I drove to work today, I think the Power Wagon's got like a 2800, which is nothing crazy. But with the overdrive and the lockup, I was going 70 miles an hour at 2,000 RPMs.
Right.
I just absolutely love lockup in overdrive. It'll make any kind of a radical car fun to drive.
Who wants to follow my A500 build for my swinger here? Who wants to see me try to get it all? Lockup, overdrive, low first and second, in a 904, all of that good stuff.
You know what we should do on that, Wilburn?
What's that?
We should
build it on the beach.
What's that?
Build it on the beach.
Yeah. I mean, since you live over in Germany, we can do like podcasts or lives and like do like one video, let's do just the overdrive unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then on the next video, we'll do the clutch drums and the planetary. And then one video, you can do the assembly. That'd be some great tech info.
That's all great. Yeah. I think the 500
either that or come back to Chicago.
Yeah, I'll do that in a heartbeat.
I
told you, it's only like 1,180 miles for me, not counting detouring at Bob Evans. A-Code wants to see it. So, I like challenges, right? So the 904 was a core that had been through a fire. This 500 is a non-working one that came out of an 89 or 90 D150, and it's gotten parts robbed out of it for years. So there's body, there's no gear sets in it, there's no pan. The case was actually in the same part of the shop where they had the shop fire. So it's got surface rust on the Sprag clutch. But anyway, I know what's missing. I know what's there. And I really believe that I can pull it off and make this I really believe I can go through it right. The only thing I remember was ever wrong with it, from what I remember from the parts, it had the forward clutch was pretty smoked in it. And it got hot enough that it broke the pressure plate.
Oh, wow.
So I couldn't check the clearance.
I think it was the other way around on that, John. I think the pressure plate broke, then the clutch
could be. Yeah. You're right. Could be.
Yeah.
Well, but it was all blue. So I thought
right.
But you're right. It probably broke, and that took all the clearance away, and that's when it got hot. It's exactly.
Yeah, because usually the forward clutch never ever goes bad unless you run it low on fluid.
I see the high go bad all the time.
Oh yeah,
Well, that's common. So Dougster says 2.5 hours to Aurelio's Pizza or Coke Shop. I'm telling you, man, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Is he that close? Is he in Michigan? Is Doug in Michigan?
I think, well, Wolverine could be a clue to that, but Potato Man, if I'm back up there doing A500-ish stuff, to meet for Aurelio's, it's just down the street. Blue Collar's got a split. Thanks for showing up. So check it out, guys. If you're not yet subscribed to Blue Collar Performance, you should. He has some really neat stuff coming up. I talked with him today. I'm not going to say what it is, but if you're not following what Blue Collar's doing, you need to be. Mike Ibbins says K-factor is used to calculate stall considering the torque output of the engine.
Oh, I remember that now. That was Chrysler Corporation's way of talking in foreign tongues about stall speed. So instead of saying 200 stall or 2000 stall, they would give it a K factor. And I always thought it was weird. But when you look in the Mopar Performance catalogs, that's how they would list their converters. And I really never understood why Chrysler was the only one who spoke that language. Because my whole life, and what's that?
I'd never even heard of it.
Oh yeah, I remember it now. Now that he says it, it was. If you read the Mopar Performance catalogs, which they done away with a long time ago, they were selling turbo action torque converters, and they had that K factor. But when you would go to the Turbo Action website or whatever, they never talked about the K factor. Only Chrysler did that. And I don't know why they did.
Hey, Tony's Hot Rod Garage, he's saying 30 minutes to his live and the router's acting up. Here's the deal. I was 15, 20 minutes late because of this stupid computer problem. I'll stick around a few minutes after my off time if you're not yet ready. So let me know, Tony. We'll go ahead and go a little longer if you need it. But at whatever time it is, 31 minutes from now or after, if you're ready on time, let me know in the chat. Because I'm going to recommend everybody here go on over to your live. You run a good live. Mike Ibbins says GM and Ford also use it. I've never heard of it before. But now
I never knew that.
I'm a transmission nerd. I have things like this, like right in my office, just stuff like that. I literally will look at stuff in here while I'm thinking about it. NSB Custom Cars uses a NetDuma router. It's gaming stuff. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, though, if it's gaming, it probably works well. I know Blake uses a gaming PC or uses a gaming laptop for doing all of his video editing, and that's actually smart because it's the video card and the graphics stuff that make it so hard to edit video. It uses up so much. Smart on his part.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
With your permission, can I show the folks an image I did on the laser machine?
Yeah, sure. Is this
since your phone's not working?
Is this
it's doing double duty job?
This is the image that we came up with here last week, right? Ooh, check it out. All right, guys. This is the first time this has ever been put up on the internet right here. Check that out. Yep. It says. So you see the graphic, you see Casper-Matic, and if you can't quite read that on the bottom, it says 4R100 trans brake. Check that out. What do you think that's going to be?
Let's see what they say in the comments. A couple people know what we're up to.
Oh yeah. I had an image. If I could use my phone, I would show of you with a gigantic block of aluminum. Yeah, Tony, isn't that cool?
It was me, Wilburn, and Jeff from Two Hacks got our own little chat thing going on a text.
Yeah.
We were talking about this valve body that I'm trying to design, and it's for the Ford Overdrive transmissions, and we want to get one in Andy's pickup truck, the Casper. So I asked Jeff and John. I said, "Hey, we got to come up with some kind of a name. You know, Turbo Action's got the cheetah, and people." I said we got to come up with a name, and a couple things were thrown out, and then the Casper, it's like, well, that would be cool to incorporate that a little bit because we're going to do a lot of testing in Andy's truck, but I wanted something more, so I just spit out Caspermatic, and
which is a combination of Casper the truck and Transmatic, the original family transmission shop.
So and then I was like, okay, I'll be right back. Anytime I get some catchy thing in my name, in my head, I go back and I make the design. What did I come back 10 minutes later and I had that all done, ready to go?
Quick, you had that. So Greg McDonald's asking any copyright issues. Here's the deal with that. I looked at that too. And those of you know me know I had a really good, expensive crash course in copyright.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, Wilburn's my lawyer on this one. So go ahead and tell him that.
So the deal is with Casper. The comic strip Casper the Friendly Ghost goes way back to the 1930s. And the guy who authored that intentionally let his trademarks expire. And then later, in 1984, when the movie Ghostbusters came out, I don't know if it was him or I think it was actually someone who came after him, tried to sue Ghostbusters, tried to sue the film distributors of Ghostbusters in 1985 or 6 for the Casper image, for using it in the Ghostbusters logo. And the judge not only got rid of it, it also became they cleaned out their closet and said, guys, not only are these expired, you let them expire on purpose. There's nothing here. So, no. So whether this was mishandling on the part of the comic strip or whether it was intentional, we don't know. Right. But there's somebody else fought that extremely expensive legal battle and cleaned out the closet for us.
Yeah. All the hard work and legal fees have been paid for and done by somebody else.
The Ghostbusters people.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes two good stories I know of from that movie.
Yeah.
Theme song.
I will try to find. I got a shot of what the valve body looks like now.
Oh yeah, that's so freaking cool. Look at that. Now that, by the way, that's a chunk of aluminum, but the valve body's actually going to be that big. It really is that big. He has drawn out and sketched out the location of all the holes on this chunk of aluminum. You guys know you're all cool, but are you that cool that you can take a chunk of aluminum the size of a laptop and just say, I'm going to make a valve body out of this? I can't say that.
Well, the first thing I want to do is make sure that I can take it and bolt it in and out of the trans. That's the first step. So once I get it so it bolts into a transmission and back out, then I got it all in my head and I got it out on paper where I want the all the passage to go, but I need all the bolt holes to be in there first to see how I'm going to route it. So the cool thing about that trans, the E4ODs, they work almost identical to a 46. So the research and development, a lot of that has already been done with my 46 and 48 RE valve bodies. So, I'm going to base that design. And the manual valve is going to work exactly in the E4OD, just like my 48s and 46s. So
say hi to Ed's Machine, something garage. Saw you guys sneak in here. Glad you're here. Indirect connection. One thing that's different about this 4-speed Ford, and he sent me the power flow on it, and I love that kind of nerdy stuff. I'm all about it. The overdrive is in the front of the transmission instead of in the back, which is strange. So you're driving through this overdrive part of the machine all the time. It's just weird. And it, what do they call it? A coast clutch is what they call it in the front. And trying to figure out how to manage the coast clutch has been an interesting challenge.
If most of you guys know how a Chrysler overdrive works, everything coming into the transmission is 1-to-1, and then only the overdrive section is overdriven. The E4OD is just the opposite. The overdrive section is in the front, so that means it's coming in 1-to-1, and the whole transmission, everything rotating in that whole transmission is overdriven instead of 1-to-1. So it is different in the power flow, but still does the same objective.
This is going to be an interesting challenge. So would you have ever thought a guy that does Chrysler transmissions exclusively just decides, hey, I'm going to take a gigantic chunk of aluminum and make a Ford valve body out of it?
Yeah.
That says a lot. That's because most people won't do that. They won't take that kind of challenge when they don't have to. That's impressive. So this is going to be a journey, and he's taking us along for the ride to watch how it comes together. We're going to get to see this valve body get made. We're going to get to see it getting tested, and hopefully we're going to see it in Casper doing its thing.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting.
I'm sure I'll run into some, brick walls of this ain't working, this ain't working. I've done that before with, designing my first trans brake. But like a lot of pieces, like my solenoid, my valve, and the the trans brake body is going to be interchangeable between the 46 and the E4OD. So that's one thing I don't have to redesign, I'm going to try and go with as much as the Chrysler stuff as I got to work it into the Ford thing. And like I said, I normally wouldn't do this, but I kind of see there may be a market for it out there. That transmission's big in the diesel world too for the Ford guys. So, I mean, I'm not going to be out a lot of dough, really. More time than anything, but I know already it's like going to college without getting paid when you try to engineer something on your own. Lucas is learning that now. Like when we have a lockup problem, I try to get his brain, and he's really starting to think like an engineer in the way of how to fix problems without just looking in the book. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about it.
I think it's super cool. I would never have thought it would have been exciting to do anything 4-speed Ford, because in my mind, when I think of a Ford automatic 4-speed, I think of that awful AOD like in a Taurus.
Yeah.
That's what I think of. But this is cool and different. Although I like the Ford manual 4-speed, the top loader. I love that.
And no matter where I'm at on that, John, whatever stage I am on that, I'm going to bring it to No Name so everybody can take a look at it.
Oh, that's going to be cool. Well, we'll have a display. I'll tell you what, we'll have a display area because we're going to have lots of trophies being made and stuff like that. And we can display it right there.
All right.
So that check it out.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
And you know who provides security for the display area, don't you?
Your mom.
And Jethro.
Yeah.
Don't test the dog with teeth like that, okay?
Yeah. I think Jethro would lick everybody to death, but whatever works.
Right. Dean Stevens says that's because only Chrysler guys understand perfection. You guys are going to like this video, I think. I got a video I want to do. I was taking one of the worst road trips ever yesterday. It was the worst trip you can one day possible. But I had the idea for this video. and it has to do with Fords. Anyway, I think there'll be a lot of engagement on this one. Now, Dakota had a question earlier. Let's see what you say. Dakota says, what do y'all think about cheaper name torque converters? Like a Summit brand or something. What kind of experience do you have with those? Tell it to him straight.
Well, the torque converter is the one thing, once it's in the trance in the car, that you can't tweak, adjust, or change. And there was a real big brand out there that everybody used to use, and they were in all the magazines.
I know which one it is, I bet.
Okay. They were in all the magazines, and they sold converters from coast to coast, and every single one of them bombed. You know who I'm talking about.
I know, because you know what? My uncle had one, and he got it from some speed shop or something. And this is exactly how this was the sales pitch. Check it out. It's the only $200 converter you won't bring back in a bag.
Yeah.
What?
There's some things on your car that you're better purchasing a premium. You know, it's like anything else in the racing world or performance world. You get what you pay for. And
I was gonna say, Mike Ivan is in here too. So, Mike, if you're in here, feel free to weigh in. You build converters for a living, so
yeah, I would find a converter guy you trust, and stay away from the big, quickie, cheap, no-name torque converters.
well, there you go. And there's a guy that has a ton of experience with them. So Tony's Hot Rod Garage says nothing worse than a ballooned converter. It's the quickest way to wipe out the thrust on your crank.
Yeah. Unless you had a dump system, then that won't happen.
And of course, you know where you can get that. If you want to see a video on the torque converter dump system, Cope Racing Transmissions has a video on the 904 in mostly old parts and rust Patrick's Duster. He basically has about the same transmission that I do, except he has the dump system valves on it.
Mm-hmm. Which he never uses. I'll get him to use it one day.
Dakota says that 3,000 to 3,500 RPM converter he has is a $25 swap meet special. Well, I'll tell you what I'll say about that, man. It was $25 at a swap meet because it wasn't working for the guy who sold it to you. That's one. And two, whatever trash is in that converter is going right into your transmission. Use it at your peril.
The one thing you always see a lot of at swap meets is used torque converters and Barry Grant fuel pumps.
Yeah, you know, the thing about a torque converter, it's even worse than a transmission in this regard. There's a lot of guys who don't care much about it. It's almost like, oh, does it shift? Does it do transmission things? Throw it in there. But it's because nobody pops the hood to look at a transmission.
Right.
The transmission is just kind of like this thing. Does it work or does it not? And a lot of people neglect the benefits that they get from the valve bodies, the benefits they get from a lot of the things that are done in the transmission. The rear end is almost the same. The only difference with the rear end, everybody wants to know, what is it, a big model? What's the gear? And is it posi? And that's it. After they know that, they know all they need to know. But there's a lot of science in that too. But the transmission is one place, and the torque converter is even worse because they're all one welded piece, right? So really all you can see is looking down in there. That's it. You can look at the fluids. You can look. There's not much you can tell.
There's a saying in the transmission industry, John. Don't stop spending money at the firewall.
I would agree. Well, I'll tell you, I got something, this A500 thing. You guys are going to like what I do with it. I am very content to stick a junkyard 318 in front of it first, because to me, I want to get the chassis done and then work on an engine. To me, that's just my strategy. It's how I like to do things. Dust Devil says that's why swap meets are full of Chevy stuff. Those guys have garages full of stuff that didn't work. Maybe. I know that a lot of guys like to just hoard stuff so they can talk about what it could do in someone's car one day and never do anything with it. There's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of guys who will have that mythical mystery can in a box on their shelf because they'd rather have it on their shelf but they're never going to put it in an engine, because then it would have to live up to in their mind what they've been telling people it can do, and it won't. So mostly old parts and Russ Patrick says, when I'm done putting the new turbo in, I'm going to work on putting the dump valves back on. Okay.
Good, Patrick. Hey, did Jackie make any cookies for you this weekend?
I keep hearing about these legendary cookies. I may have to see if I can twist their arm to bring some to PRI or Sykes.
Well, let me tell you something, John. You were at the wrong place at the wrong time. At the burnout contest at the No Name Nationals, Jackie brought boxes of cookies and put them on the back of Mr. Haney, and they were delish. You missed out on them.
I'm sure I was cleaning up and working after
this year's No Name, if anybody wants to try one of Jackie's cookies, meet us on the back of Mr. Haney in the burnout pit.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jackie, I'll kick you over, a little bit of green so that you're not out, feeding everybody, but we'll do it. We'll have a cookie party there on the back of Mr. Haney. Yep. Jason says they're awesome. Now, NSB saying they have a 2011 Ranger with 30,000 miles on it. They're either going to sell it or put a Hemi in it and name it Haney Jr. Could be a good race. That's nutty, but y'all will go for it. And now Patrick is saying Jackie made homemade cinnamon rolls and bread in the last 24. You know why Patrick's telling us this? Here's exactly why. Because Patrick is very fit and in shape, and he likes to brag that she can feed him like that and he can stay that way. That's why he likes to tell us that stuff. Gotta be.
I got a great name for someone who wants to lean on or jump on the Mr. Haney kind of a name. You should name that car, instead of Haney Jr., you should name it Arnold Ziffel.
Right.
You remember the pig that they had on?
Yes.
I was always going to save that name for the next car I put together.
Yes, Ziffel.
Arnold Ziffel.
Yes.
What a great name for a car or a truck.
Well, you people are trying to make us hungry. Kind of working. I'm looking forward to trying Jackie's homemade cookies at No Name Nationals. But at PRI this year, I'm going to try to do the Tech Inspector curriculum and test from SFI to get my Tech Inspector cert. That's my objective for this year's PRI.
Oh, good for you.
And last year after PRI, I went up and ambushed Cope, and we went to Chicago and drifted around the streets and went to Portillo's and had fun and all kinds of fun debauchery. So who knows? Maybe we'll do that again this year. We'll see.
And you stuck your feet in Lake Michigan.
I did. This was great. So Cope had walked up the bank and didn't see it. But when I'd stuck my feet in Lake Michigan, I had to find a spot on the seawall that was low enough to get my feet in the lake, right? And it was 30 degrees outside, right? Maybe. I'm carrying my shoes with my pants legs rolled up barefoot in 30-degree weather. And there was like this, drifting around zombie kind of probably homeless person right at the seawall. And there's nobody around, but she's standing pretty close. Look at I think that she was probably ready to try to bum a dollar or a smoke or something like that. But she saw me walking barefoot in 30-degree weather and decided not to. Probably decided this is somebody I don't want to engage in conversation with. This person's probably crazier than I am. And she let me go. And I went on back and got to do it.
When you jumped in the truck, my first thought was, holy, you know what? He got robbed. Someone stole his gym shoes.
No, let me steal my shoes. Dust Devil will be at PRI. Cool, man. Patrick says, good thing I fixed the second oven. Yeah, there's the boss. There's Jackie Abbott. Yes. Yes, make some cookies. We're going to do it. That sounds great. Ed, you going to come to No Name Nationals and have some cookies with Jackie and Patrick and Cope and I and Jason and everyone? Jason is saying chocolate chip. I'm game for any of it. That sounds great. Dean is saying cinnamon. Dean, are you going to be there?
Chocolate chip for me, Jackie. You can draw little Mr. Haney trucks on the side of the cookies and pass them out.
Ooh, that would be cool. You know what's funny is Cope might show up with a band strip that says I raced Mr. Haney and lost. And Jackie might show up with cookies that say I raced Patrick and lost.
Oh man.
Jackie will have cookies that say I lost to Patrick, so I'm eating this cookie. Yeah.
Wow. The band struts are going to be this year are going to be bounty hunter band struts.
Oh,
they're going to say I took out Joe in the first round, and on the back, and it's going to say No Name Nationals bounty hunter on it.
So, for those of you who might not know, most people in this chat will. There is a sizable bounty on Just Smoke. It's up to I think $420 from 3 different people, 4 different people. So, Just Mopar Joe has a bounty for taking him out in the first round of the bracket, or second, or whatever. But the first person to take him out. The first person to make him out.
And that person will get the pay, will also have the privilege of rolling Joe around in the pits in the wheelchair.
Yes. So if you're not familiar with Mr. Haney's wheelchair, there's lots of videos on it. But my favorite video you can see it in is go to my video of the cars coming off the track after the group photo on my channel. And you will see in the back of Mr. Haney, you'll see Andy in Mr. Haney's wheelchair.
I use that chair every day at the shop.
I love it. I actually got a picture of myself in Mr. Haney's. I can't show it to the phone, but I got a picture of myself in Mr. Haney's wheelchair at the shop when I was there. I wouldn't have seen snow in all of this winter if I hadn't been up there.
Yeah.
In March. Because we didn't have any snow here. None at all. So I'm going to skip it this year other than going up there.
Hey, John, how long did it take you to get from your place to the shop? You remember?
The drive, I want to say it's a 9-hour drive.
That's all it is?
Yeah, something like that. 590 miles. I know that you have to pass about half of the Bob Evans in the entire country to get there because Ohio is their home base. And you know, like, what's the biggest thing between Indiana and So I go through a little bit of Virginia, all of West Virginia, and all of Ohio to get there. And then all Indiana pretty much. I go through all of 3 states pretty much. And so West Virginia is all mountains. Ohio is all nothing in Bob Evans. And Indiana is nothing in windmills. $38 wants to know if you can wheel stand the wheelchair.
With my big butt in it, no. But the kids at the shop can do it all day long.
Oh, wow. I got to see if I can wheel stand that wheelchair now.
If I put wheelie bars on it, I can.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. We'll do it. So I got in my YouTube suggestions this guy who's into fitness challenges, right? His name is Nick Simmons. Has a bunch of subs. And what he'll do is he'll come up with some kind of fitness challenge on college campuses, outside of gyms, public streets, whatever. You know, a dollar for every pound you can bench press. Can you beat him in doing deadlifts? And, you know, it's interesting. But one of them he did was one. This is funny. You win. I can't remember how much it was, but it was a good bit of money if you can do one push up. One push up. So the last time I did push ups was in 2018. I had to do a bunch, but I can still do a push up. They had another one. Could you do a sit up? And I never realized this until I tried it. I just never thought about it before. The only way that people could win the money is if they did a sit up, but their feet stayed touching the whole time. And I can do a sit up, but my feet come off that far, just barely off the whole time. My feet come off. They don't come up any higher than that. It was wild. And he said he admitted he couldn't do it either. He could not do it without his feet coming off. And I think it's a balance thing. Smoke Range says, what's my go-to pistol when training? I carry, practice, shoot matches, teach, train, everything with a Glock 17. That said, a 19 is probably a better choice for most people because a 19 is a 17 with a ½ inch off the barrel and a little bit of extra off the grip. But a 17, in my mind, is the perfect pistol. It's funny because I'll have people ask me, what's the best pistol? I say Glock 17. Then they'll go to a gun store and get all this rigmarole from a guy who has no training resume. He just sells guns to people who just hold them and buy them, and they'll wind up with something else. I'm like, okay, you can go to a Glock the cheap way, which is buy one to start with, or the expensive way and go through a whole bunch of other ones first. Don English says, I can wheel stand a wheelchair. Cool. Are we going to have a wheelchair wheel stand contest at Sikeston? Dean says he's got some family medical problems. Might be stuck. Yeah, man. Well, you know, if you can make it, we'd love to see you. Smoke Range has a second Gen 19. That's an excellent choice. Excellent choice. Keep it forever. Dean says Indiana's where all the really good engines were made.
It's also where all the torque flight transmissions were built.
Yeah, Kokomo.
Yes, sir.
Dougster says get rid of that nickel-plated toy and buy yourself a Glock. Well, I'm okay with 1911s for something to look at, coffee table guns and all that stuff. I think if you're serious, take a Glock. I'm out there digging in the ground, building a fence. I had dirt all in my Glock, but you know what? If I needed to use it, no matter how much dirt I got in it while I was out working in the yard today, I know that thing would fire no problem. Can't say that about a 1911. You get a 1911 dirty like that, that thing may jam up on you. Levi says 118 days, I'm running out of time for my own projects. The clock and the calendar wait for no one, man. Levi says my LS was built in Indiana. I didn't know that. What does LS stand for? I'm sure like everybody in the chat knows and I don't. If anyone knows what that is, I would love to know. I don't know what LS stands for. Do you know, Coach, sir? LS?
I have no idea.
Huh. We're going to let somebody tell us what LS means, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap up because we're going to hand off over to Tony's Hot Rod Garage. I think he said he's got his router all straightened out. And One-eyed cat said we used to wheel stand for an hour at a time. We took turns. Oh, that's crazy. Dust Devil says LS stands for lazy and slow.
I knew those were coming.
Not the one I put in. It was neither. 38 says he thinks it's an RPO code. Okay. That'd be boring, though. I guess so. It's got LT and all that, but it doesn't stand for anything. NSB said I'm a fan of all guns except for high points. Yeah, whatever. High points got its place, I guess. Not much of one. Dakota's saying, I think all I really need to do is all the fancy stuff so my car will pass tech. It'd be cool if I could put some more economical gears in it, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Hey, man, get it ready, get your subs. Do that trick I told you about making a short on all those parts. You'll get it. Dakota's got a rear with 256 gears, rather have 323. It's not like you're crossing the Atlantic in this thing, man. You can drive 323s from the Chattanooga area to Sikeston. Ed's Machine says luxury sport. Oh my gosh, it's Blown Budget Garage in the house. Randall, here we were wondering if you were still 98.6. Levi says it's not an RPO code like LM7 or LQ4 is, though. Okay, I just don't know what it is. Blown Budget, do you know what LS stands for? We're trying to figure that out. I don't know. Dougster says lickety split. Okay, Tony said he's good to go starting my live. Tony, we said we're going to have one question here and see if people can answer it for us. Then we're going to wrap up and turn it over to you. What does LS, like a Chevy LS, stand for? Because I have no idea. Randall says, I'll be there. Car should be finished. You coming to Sikeston? That'd be cool. We look forward to meeting you. Okay, Blown Budget. Okay. I'm not even sophisticated enough to pronounce that, but we'll take your word for it. Well, on that, I think we've solved the mystery. We know what LS stands for. So, Cope, do you have anything else you want to promote or do or anything?
Nope. Just thanks for having me, John. I really appreciate it. And always, it's a lot of fun being on your lives.
Hey, man, I'm glad you showed up. This has been fun. So I had to let you know. I said, hey, if it works out, come on in. And we got fun stuff playing. Check out what Blue Collar's got coming in a video here real soon. You're not going to want to miss that. Randall, thanks for showing up tonight. That was a nice surprise. That was cool. But all y'all, take care. Have a good evening, and I will see you again next week.
See you, boys.